Spoony.
And good afternoon, Spoony listeners. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro, right here on Spoony Radio. How are you? And yep, that's like 2 Mondays in a row. I think that's a record. Recently, anyway. So, how was your weekend? I feel like Mr. Rogers. How was your weekend? Can you say cucumber? Oh, that would be a funny segment. I should open up every day. I should open up with a new culinary term, but give it in give it in the way that that Mr. Rogers would have. Anyway, thanks for joining me. If you're joining for the first time, I don't know why, but thanks for finding us. Go to our social media pages, all of them. Go to Facebook, go to Spoony Radio on Facebook, Twitter. Please go to Instagram, like some of the photos, follow us. And, if you're like our friend Richard Brandt, who listened to me a few weeks ago, I said, send us a currency. If you have any of that foreign currency from when you travel abroad, and maybe it's just a few bills because we can't exchange coins, send them in. Matter of fact, Richard Brandt was so kind to listen that let me see here. So I had made the request that you travel overseas, you find the money sitting in your drawer. It's been 10 or 12 or 20 years. Go ahead and send it in. It has to be a note. It can't be coins. Oh, we'll take coins anyway. Maybe we can trade them in on something else. But Richard says, "Hey there, just doing my part to contribute to Spoony's World Radio Tour. Good luck with the rest of the fundraising. Enjoy." All right. So if you see what he sent us here, I'm trying to get it up closer to the camera, but he sent, these are $10 billion, yes, $10 billion Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe notes. So he sent us 10, 20, 30, 40, $50 billion right there. Folks, no need to send any more money. We're set. We are set. Well, maybe not. I believe that this was printed in 2008, and this currency actually went defunct in 2009. I believe it was about 10 billion or 11 billion Zimbabwe dollars per U.S. dollar, something like that. Anyway, Richard, we appreciate the effort and the thought. Keep sending them in, man. He sent about 10 billion more of these, and the paper itself would be probably worth trading in, and who knows, might be able to buy a newspaper or something. Anyway, hey, Richard, that was funny. Thank you very much. Richard, if you don't know, is TechRoo on Twitter, and one of our loyal listeners and followers. He's also a great brewer of unique beers. And Richard, I really hope that you're able to get that brewery up and going. As a matter of fact, give me a call if you're listening. Maybe not today on the phone lines, but we could talk after, and I'd like to see where things are at. Let's see what else we got going on today. Oh, it's National Tapioca Day. Master Ron is in there looking busy at the computer, eating his lunch. Ron, you can just shake your head yes or no. Do you know what tapioca actually is? No, it's okay. No, he's shaking. It's called cassava, Cassava. But does anyone know what cassava is? I don't. I kind of do, because that's my career choice, is to know the obscure food terms. But it's actually the root of the yucca plant. Yucca, as we say in South America and Central America. So yucca is the starchy root of the yucca plant, right? It kind of fries up like French fries. You have to peel this kind of dark fibrous husk off the outside. It's related. It kind of looks like, and is a similar color to, on the outside anyway, as like a sweet potato. But anyway, so you peel that off, you cut them into chunks, and then you can fry them. You can also dry them out, grind them up, and use that powder as a thickener. Or you can make tapioca pearls, which are where tapioca gets its name. So the pearls not only thicken, but because they don't fully dissolve, they kind of leave this the gummy little rice-sized bites, I guess, nuggets. Oh, yeah. No nuggets in my pudding, thanks. All right. Anyway, what I find interesting, though, is all these food items that I like. Okay, I like gin. Not everybody likes gin. I like gin. But it's made from a poisonous berry. Well, yucca cassava, tapioca, whatever you want to call it, is also made from the poisonous root of the yucca plant. Yucca has one of the highest concentrations of, I think is it arsenic? No. It's, let's see, toxin in yucca. So let's see. Well, it's not telling me here. Yes, it is poisonous to humans, but it's I know there's saponins is the type, but it's not the name. It's called it's like cyanide basically. So once you eat them, they combine to make cyanide, and it's one of the plants with the highest concentration. Matter of fact, some yucca plants, some large ones, can have up to 2 kilograms of cyanide in them. So it is, though, however, National Tapioca Day. So go to your local store, and buy some tapioca pearls or some instant tapioca pudding. And we don't know what's for dinner, but I think I know what's for dessert. Tapioca, anyone? I don't, so tapioca creeped me out when I was a child. I loved rice pudding. I mean, rice pudding's just the rice, some milk, maybe a little cornstarch, cinnamon, sugar. That was the whole thing. And it tasted like rice and milk and sugar and cinnamon. But tapioca, or these, especially the tapioca pearls, that's something that texture, it's kind of like boba tea. You know, the tea that have little, I guess it's the same thing. They're big, giant tapioca gelatin-like pearls. The first time I had one of those, the straw is so big to allow them to pass through the straw. They're literally almost 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And when I drank the tea, I mean, I knew it was called bubble tea or boba tea or whatever it is, and I knew it had tapioca pearls. I didn't realize they were that large, and so when I almost inhaled it when I was drinking it, and I did choke. Fortunately, it came out in the first cough, but it's that texture is very unfamiliar. And I guess the history of why they use tapioca as a thickener is in the past, back before refrigeration, they would dry it out to send on ships with the fleets to be used on board to cook with as a thickener, also to make puddings and things like that. And I guess that's it. It stuck. Anyway, I actually posted a really good recipe for a homemade tapioca pudding. So if you care for some, go ahead and make some. I haven't had any tapioca in at least 15 years. So maybe I'll try some soon. I should give it another shot. I should. And maybe I will. But not the tea. The tea's just wrong. It doesn't work for me. All right. So what else we got going on today? Oh, there's a whole bunch of great food stories today. There was there's a story I was reading about a Russian boxer. You know, everybody always says, have a plan B. Don't forget, if you're going to be an athlete, have a plan B. What if you get injured? Actually, that's pretty smart. The number of athletes that get injured permanently, that ends their career-ending injuries within the first year, is enormous. And most of them get injured and end their career before they ever get to any sort of professional level. But I was reading this interesting story about a former Russian boxing champion who turned pastry chef. And it says, once a Russian boxing champion, Renat Agzamov is now a celebrity cake maker specializing in elaborate, edible masterpieces that sell for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. A self-described workaholic, Renat baked his first cake when he was only 7 years old, and he claims to have since created over 2,700 cakes. Constantly trying to improve his skills and surpass clients' expectations, despite dedicating much of his youth to sports and becoming a boxing champion in his native Russia. The talented food artist says that cooking in general and cake making in particular have always been his greatest passions. I mean, I'm going to stop right here for a second. I'm looking at this cake he made. Oh my. This thing it's got to be 12 feet tall, and the base is 10 feet across, at least 8. And this cake sold for $179. Oh, it's a 13-foot tall wedding cake. It sold for $179,000. This thing looks like the White House meets what's the castle from it's not the Disney castle, right? If you merge those two together and then made it all pretty with lots of little roses all over it, that's pretty much what it looks like. It's lit from the inside. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has like 17 tiers, 22 spires. I don't know how many canopies on it, like canopies overhanging these windows and drapings. I will put, you know what? I'm going to actually post this up on Spoony's Facebook page, but I want to finish the story. I thought it was interesting because they, you know, as an athlete who's a boxer, his second choice of profession, or actually his first love, is cake decorating. I mean, it's fascinating. I'm not picking on the guy. I think it's cool. Besides, I wouldn't pick on him. He'd probably, you know, kick my butt. So anyway, today he is one of the world's most sought-after cake artisans, creating incredibly complex wedding cakes for high-profile clients all around the world. That's awesome. He's been making cakes for 30 years. He's won several confectionery competitions, but it was social media, especially Instagram, that helped him get the international exposure he needed. Okay. Anyway, that's just amazing stuff. This is really cool. $179,000. Designed as a fairy tale castle. This is that 13-foot tall wedding cake I was talking about. It was designed as a fairy tale castle, complete with dozens of elaborate flowers, balconies, tiny figurines, and interior lighting. The 1,500 kilogram, okay, that's 1,500 kilograms. That's 3,300 pounds. The 3,300-pound cake was commissioned for a high-profile Kazakh wedding. From whimsical castles and elaborate water fountains that look like there's water flowing from them to giant dragons and realistic ice mountains, several meters tall, it seems there's nothing that he can't create on confectionery. Huh, that's really cool. Very cool. I'm going to go ahead and comment and post that right now. Oh, you know what? Yes. You know what? This week, they had a celebration, rather. Is it Pottsville? Pottsville, Pennsylvania, right? Does anyone know what Pottsville is famous for? No, it's not the Christmas movie. It's not. No, that's Pottersville, right? No, that's where Yuengling Brewery, that's the oldest brewery in the United States, is located. Yuengling just turned, if you can believe this, 190 years old. 6 generations have been running the operation there since they started, and they've been through a lot. Matter of fact, to celebrate, they invited the entire town out to share in the festivities. But I want to think, 190 years. Let's look and see what all they've been through. So they opened at 8. They actually opened in 1831, and they've been operating by the same. Oh, actually, they started with. All right, one more time. Yuengling Lager was brewed for the first time in 1831, and it's been operated by the same family since 1829. They turned 190 years old this year. They had thousands of people show up for the anniversary, but it's 6 generations of Yuenglings have been running this operation. 6 generations. That's fantastic. If you've never had Yuengling, it's good. I mean, I've had plenty of it. It's not really easy to find out here, but in the East Coast, through the Midwest and Central states, also further south and west, you can find it in most liquor stores have. Anyway, Yuengling, congratulations. They are, by the way, the largest craft brewery, privately owned brewery as well. I believe they are number 1. Number 2 is either the Boston Brewing Company, right? Or, which is Sam Adams. They are usually tied. They kind of switch back and forth, but the other one, usually right behind them or in front of them, is New Belgium up in Fort Collins, Colorado. So anyway, all 3 of them, good beers, great people, and that's a good story. 190 years old. Most businesses don't make it to 10, so 190 is a long time to make it. And there's one more birthday we have to celebrate today. And it's kind of controversial, so you have to bear with me. But the Happy Meal turns 40 this year. And what's interesting about this is it should have been a big deal, right? It was that this year, I mean, the Happy Meal, 40 years. It's evolved a lot over the years, but 40 years for any menu item to stay on, well, especially a fast food menu item like that. It was not part of the core menu when they started, but 40 years since they started that. Interestingly enough, McDonald's didn't celebrate it, or it's not even on their webpage. And, you know, I was digging around. I was like, why 40 years? That's a long time to be making a product that's become kind of iconic in the world of food, especially when it comes to children's menus and unique items just for, I mean, children's menus, not just children's menus, but accommodating children and building something that may not be on the menu for them in all restaurants now. So I started looking around, and actually it turns out that it's not a McDonald's invention, right? So they didn't celebrate it because they don't believe that they were the original ones to do it. There was actually another restaurant that was called Burger something. It's I can't remember. It's not Burger Boys. It's something like that though. Anyway, they didn't create the Happy Meal, so they're not celebrating. Man, I guess like they say, good artists copy and great artists steal. They started a lot of stuff. I want to look at all their iconic dishes, their menu items actually started in a different location. Not all of them, but most. If you look in 2017, McDonald's did 3.2 million Happy Meals a day, generating $10 million in revenue every day. That's crazy. All right, so Shamrock Shakes, they were started in Connecticut. Big Macs in Pittsburgh, Filet-O-Fish in Cincinnati. You know why they did that in Cincinnati? Because they had a huge, and this is not a, somebody keeps texting me. This is not it's just a story, right? Anyway, they have a large number of Catholics in certain areas and a lot of the Cincinnati region, and they needed something to serve on Fridays that so that they could draw that crowd in. And so they had to come up with something that was a fish sandwich or something that didn't have, meat in it. And they asked the company if they could do it, and McDonald's said no, but they did it anyway. It became so popular that, of course, now it's chain wide. God, they have so much stuff. The Happy Meal at 75, which wasn't really theirs. Burger Chef. In 1973, the Indianapolis-based Burger Chef had been offering its own fun meals that included a toy. Burger Chef even had Star Wars boxes in 1978. According to Meredith Williams, a Joplin, Missouri director of fast food Pharma, she wrote 2 guides to collecting Happy Meals, individuals, and she said that the one that you should really, the biggest one to collect right now is the Burger Chef toys. Anyway, interesting. All right, that's enough. I'm tired of reading about McDonald's. I am. Then I should stop reading about McDonald's, shouldn't I? All right. What else we got today? A little bit later, I'm going to talk about something called the Culinarian's Code. Physicians take they have an oath, right? If you're a politician, you have an oath. If you're an attorney, you have to swear an oath. If you're a teacher, there's a code you need to live by. Well, chefs have one as well. And it's not just chefs, everyone in the culinary industry. I'm really curious to see what everyone's reaction to that is. But I'm going to read through that one by one and see how well I've lived by the Culinarian's Code. I kind of glanced at it earlier. It's longer than I remember, but I think I've done a pretty good job. But we'll talk about some maybe a few gaps here and there, and whether or not I've really done that good of a job. Anyway. The other thing I want to talk about today is a lot of people think that when you talk about the restaurant industry or the food and beverage industry in general, we're just talking about cooking and working in restaurants. And man, I've done more than just work in restaurants. I've worked in hotels and private homes and stuff like that. But I want to explore a few things about the culinary industry or the hospitality industry. The first being the 10 highest paying hospitality jobs. The second being the top 5 careers that people go into coming out of culinary school. And then the third one being new niches or self-created niches that people can look for if they want a more accommodating schedule. You know, the biggest frustration for me coming out of culinary school, actually, I already knew it, but I knew what the schedule was, right? But and I was prepared. I've been working in the industry for a while. I guess I was just upset that when I went to culinary school, and I went to the Art Institute in Denver, great school, excellent instructors. I was fortunate to already have experience when I went to school, and then I was working really hard during school. I was busting my hump, working, 2 jobs usually, going to school full time, and then, I was competing in culinary competitions. I think the fact that they said, yeah, you graduate, you get a degree, and you're gonna double your income immediately. I have to tell you, folks, I don't care if you go to culinary school or spend 10 years working your way up the ranks. It's a very slow grow when it comes to your income in the culinary field. I don't care if you come right out of school and you get an executive chef job. I was talking to a friend of mine in Arkansas, one of the best. Yes, Arkansas. Once again, I'm bringing up Arkansas. Yes, Northwest Arkansas. But I lived in Bentonville for a couple of years. And just up the road in Bella Vista is a place called the River Grill. Anyways, this nice restaurant. And I was just, I was shocked to hear that the chef that was there, what he was making. A friend of mine got another a position there and told me, and I was just shocked. I had no idea. I think I've been very fortunate in how my career progressed, both monetarily and, from an opportunity standpoint. But I started looking around at the median incomes or the median pay for these jobs, and it's crazy. Anyway, we'll get into that a little bit. Think about it. Here, I'm gonna pose the question right now. I'm gonna pose the question. Let's see. How much do you think? All right, I'm gonna go in here. I'm going to watch the video. How much do you think is the average pay for an executive chef in the United States? All right. I'm going to throw that out there. We got 2 minutes till the break. I'll say a couple of hellos here. Richard Brandt, how you doing, buddy? Battery headed back to iHeartRadio. Does it? Oh. Hey, Richard, if you missed it. Oh, no, you didn't miss it. He goes, so I was talking, Richard is the one that sent us $50 billion, by the way, in 5 simple $10 billion notes. And that's real currency. It's not legit anymore because it's still legit. It's just a defunct currency. $10 billion notes. How ridiculous. Anyways, don't spend it all in one place. And I meant to say he's wandering around downtown Cheyenne, scoping out properties, but Facebook, so Richard is the one I was talking about doing a brewery. And Richard, I'm telling you, you have to do it. Please, 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 please. You got to do that smoked pineapple ale. That's the best. Tom Trost. Beer. Hey, Tom, how you doing? I'll see you later before the meeting, huh? Pat Gamir, how you doing, Pat? I know it says Douglas on there, but I know it's you. Let's see, who else is there? Sean Sheeler, what's up, buddy? Sean, 50K? Sure, I'll take 50K. I don't care what denomination or currency. I don't care. Send it in. Again, if you have any spare foreign currency laying around, notes only. We only take bills, folks. Well, if it's silver coins, you can send it in. Anyway, send it in. You never know. We might get enough of those $5 or $10 billion notes that we actually can go buy a cup of coffee someday. All right, hey, we're coming up with a break here. Again, we're going to talk about the culinary industry. A few rumors, how do you say it? Maybe untruths, a few truths, and, who makes the real money? It's interesting. I had a couple of guesses on who makes the most. I was pretty close. Man, I just want to talk about it now. Anyway, all right, Chef Patrick Mosher, Food Biz Pro. Please stay tuned. If you are watching and listening, please like and share. Tell all your friends, your family. Yeah, we don't want Spoony to go away, so keep supporting us and all of our other show hosts. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter at Food Biz Pro.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252. 800-296-1252.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
All right, so we're back. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. We're back for the second course. I always forget to introduce the first course, but you've already had your appetizer, so now it's time to eat your greens. It's time for the salad or soup if you prefer. I don't care. We were just talking. I just asked a question, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till some more people comment. But what do you think is the average chef for an executive chef in a restaurant in this country? I'm just curious. You know, you figure it takes probably the average chef, it takes 10 years to get there. If you look across the board, it may take a little longer, actually. Yeah, what do you think? The average. I want to find out what the highest paying chef jobs in particular are. But, so before we get that way, yeah, that's okay. They're just hospitality. So the top 5 careers that culinary graduates gravitate towards after they graduate from culinary school. I looked through the list. This is from 2014 or 2018, and it's from the Art Institute. I'm not really surprised. Not at all. So number 1 on the list. Oh, let's go backwards. Number 5 on the list is food service or restaurant manager, and that's pretty likely. I can't see why it wouldn't be. Culinary school is broken into I went to school, it was trimesters, but, semesters just like any other trade school or university, college. And, you study all areas of restaurant, and food service operations and management. Now, of course, the culinary arts as well. But let's see. I'm thinking about what did we go through what was the curriculum in Denver at the Art Institute? The first thing we did was, we went to school 8 hours a day, by the way. You had 1 culinary class and typically 2 cerebral classes, so to speak. So the first semester was intro to cooking, basically, which was it was a full semester of everything from, you started with breakfast cookery, and then you went into vegetables, like vegetable cuts, vegetable preparation. Then you went into stocks, soups, and sauces. And then you went into butchery. And then you went into meat preparation. So you went through like braising, broiling, grilling, all the other baking, roasting, all those other cooking techniques. And then at the end, then you learned how to do, and then sides I think came after that. But that was one class, and it was I think it was like it was pretty much every day, but it was a long class. That class, when you had that class, it was like 4 or 5 hours. And then during that semester, you have to take a safety and sanitation class. And then you had to take if you didn't have your a degree, or you didn't have your other core classes, your required classes to graduate with an associate degree, then you had to take stuff like sociology or math class or English classes, whatever other filler classes you needed to round out the curriculum. Now the second semester was let's see, what do we have then? Baking and pastries. Ooh, that was a fun one. I had a chef named Chef Peggy Alter. She was a fantastic pastry chef, and she used to make these beautiful hand-blown, they look like glass ornaments, but they were blown sugar. So she would make, basically you bring sugar to a certain temperature, like if you're making fudge or something like that, but this is just plain sugar and then you'd add dye to it to make the different colors. But she would basically make it, you get it to the right temperature, and you cool it down a little bit on it's like a marble slab, and once you get it to the right temperature, then you basically it's a metal straw that you put on there, or the metal gets really hot, so there's like a hand pump that goes with it, so you don't burn yourself. But then you can blow ornaments from this, or blow these it's like blown glass. It's beautiful. And so every year she would make this set of hand blown ornaments that were made from sugar and send them to the White House. I thought it was pretty cool. And then she was so talented. They had the city of Boulder, which is where she lived, had when they opened up, it's like the whole downtown shopping area. She actually made a pastry. She made a scale model, or not to scale, but I guess a one that was pretty small. So, I mean, it was probably the size 4 times the size of this table. It was big. I mean, it took up this giant, probably 12 or 15 foot by 6 foot table, but it was basically the Boulder Walking Mall. And she did the entire thing out of, I think it was pastillage and modeling chocolate or something like that. It's pretty impressive. She was a big mentor of mine. But okay, so you had all these, the curriculum was fun, and it got very, very detailed. You had to take hospitality law, spirits, wine and spirits. You had to take a business class. And then you had to take hospitality management classes, and then you had to operate the restaurant that was at the school as well, which was open for lunch and dinner. And there were typically, the 2 main tracks that I saw at the school were people that wanted to be hotline chefs, and then the other side of that would be pastry chefs. But somewhere along the line, while working full-time, a lot of students anyway, working full-time while in school, and then having a very long day at the office, which was school, then they'd get a little burned out, and they'd realize that a lot of times management, front of the house management, which is the service side of things, typically had shorter shifts, better pay, and an easier schedule. And also you're not in a kitchen getting burned, cut, and sweating all the time. So I'd say about probably 20%, 15% of the students shifted that direction. And it's a very fun side of the industry. It's not nearly as physically, well, I don't want to say this because I know a lot of general managers and assistant GMs. I know a lot of front of the house managers and even service staff that they work so hard. I mean, it's amazing how many steps they put in every day. I mean, I used to put in like 12 to 18,000 steps a day in a kitchen. Think about if you served 20 or 25 tables during your shift, or, say 20 tables, 10 tables during your shift. And you had to go, say, for each table, you had to take, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, probably per table, 12 trips in and out of the kitchen. So I don't know how many steps, depends on how big your section is, how far big the restaurant is, how far away it is. But they really put in the miles. And not only that, you're talking now about carrying trays and clearing tray, clearing, or even if you're just carrying 2 plates at a time. It's a lot of work. But anyway, food service or restaurant manager came in at number 5. And by the way, if you're a chef or you're aspiring to be a chef and the schedule is grueling and killing you, chefs make great general managers. Most of the, a lot of the best general managers I've ever worked with were actually chefs prior to moving to the front of the house, or as we call it, the dark side. But anyway, a restaurant career could be for you if you're interested. This is the food service or restaurant manager position, in opening your own restaurant or managing both the front and the back of the house. So yeah, the general manager they have the illustrious role of managing everyone in the restaurant and being responsible for all numbers, all cash flow and all sales, as well as the service, the food, and pretty much everything else. That's why chefs make great general managers. In this role, you'll be responsible for the entire dining experience, from hiring employees and overseeing kitchen operations to ensuring the perfect dining ambiance and service. Let's see. Beyond restaurants, food service managers may work in hotels, school cafeterias. Ooh, that's a fun one. But I'll tell you what, thank goodness they're there. I used to like the lunch ladies. I had a good rapport with them. Of course, my aunt was one too. School cafeterias, hospitals, and other inpatient care settings, entertainment venues, and anywhere food is prepared and served. To work in restaurant and food service management, you'll need a solid understanding of the business operations and management techniques that you can learn either in culinary management programs or food and beverage management programs. All right, so really. Front of the house, if you're going to be a general manager, you have to have a great understanding of all the numbers and the entire operation in general. I think it's always good to, if you're going to go to school, work while you're in school. It doesn't matter what you think you're going to have as your career when you graduate. Work while you're in school if you can, at least part-time. All right, number 4. Number 4 was baking and pastry chef. Now, this surprised me. I thought baking and pastry chef would have been number 2. At the very least, number 3. But now that I look at the way that the market's changing, I would say this has to be right because it's coming from their statistics. But so as a baking and pastry chef, people think about just baked goods, breads, desserts, but it's pretty broad ranging. We're not just talking about restaurants and hotels. Think about places like Whole Foods or Central Market or other gourmet retail stores. Most of them have, or almost all of them now have, an in-house bakery. And, the hours may not be, quite as accommodating as a service manager, a front-of-the-house manager in a restaurant, which, it's not like they're open till midnight, though. It's not like the bakery's open till midnight in a grocery store. So, and to be honest with you, a talented, cake decorator, can make $40,000 a year. Honestly, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but or it may sound like a lot depending on your income. It sounds like a lot to me right now, but that's a lot, especially when I start telling you what the average salaries in the industry are, right? So baking and pastry chef. In this career path, you'll combine your creativity with an eye for detail to support delicious baked goods and pastries for a restaurant, local bakery, or grocery store. Your day-to-day work might include buying supplies, overseeing other staff, and making and decorating beautiful pastries and desserts. To prepare for a baking and pastry career, consider a specialized baking and pastry program rather than a general culinary arts program. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, rather than a general culinary arts program. Now, here's something that you need to know. Everybody thinks that they know what they want to do when they go to school, but most of us don't. If you're very detail-oriented, you don't mind weighing every single ingredient every single time that you make something, even if you made it for the 500th time, you never, ever, ever are able to eyeball anything in baking. It's an exact science. Hot food, not an exact science. If I have, a smidge of a gram more salt in this particular serving of something than in the last one, it's typically not noticeable. Or it can be corrected if you taste the sauce and it's too salty or whatever happens to occur. But I'm telling you, baking and pastries, man, that's a science, and you get one shot at it. Because the reason I say that is on the hot food line, if you goof something up, you can go back and correct it. Or if you can't correct it, well, then what can you do? You can make another one. And typically, unless it's something that has some special preparation or really long cook time, like, say, beef Wellington, and as long as it wasn't your last order, you can typically get the food out in about 10 minutes. You can't go back and bake another cake or make another set of pastries, or you just can't. There's just no time, right? All right, so that came in at number 4. Number 3. Now, I thought this is the one that actually caught me off guard a little bit. Although, again, I'm not surprised. Number 3 is a caterer. Yep, caterer. So those wonderful people that bring us delicious meals to our friends and loved ones' events and birthdays and all those wonderful things, or celebrations of life, or, I've done a number of events that were these big fancy galas. And most of them were at the Museum of Fine Art in Houston. And let me tell you, when you're trying to feed, 2,000 people all at one time, from 7 different kitchens, all serving a specific area of the event, because, museums aren't just a big, wide open, flat space. They're cut into nooks and crannies and different tiers and levels. And, they're typically smaller areas, so you don't get 500 people in one room. You may have 100 here, 150 there, 80 here. And when you're talking about trying to feed 2,000 plus people, plated dinners, it gets kind of hectic. I have this video of I did an event with a great company out of I was hired to help them out in Houston about 6 years ago. It was for the MD Anderson Cancer Research Center, and it was a fundraiser, and it was 2,100 people plated, served, and the dessert was also plated dessert. So by plated, I mean we assemble it, pass it down the line. So the way it works, it's like Henry Ford's assembly line, right? On these big events where they're plated, it's not a buffet. Everybody has their seat, 10 seats per table, 5 servers per table. And what they do is the servers line up, and then when they say go, it's like a race. It's like somebody, shoots off a starting gun, starter's pistol, and then you pull the lids off of all the chafing dishes, and there's one person per item on a plate. And for this particular event, we had 11 plating lines all in the same room. And so first person grabs a plate, they put down the vegetable, and they pass it down. The next person puts down the protein or the starch, and you have one clean hand, one dirty hand. And this is the hardest thing to teach people that don't do this for a living. So when you get temporary staff in, it's always like, no. Use one hand to grab and push the plate, the other one to grab the food and put it on. Pass the plate with the same hand you grab the plate with, because they want to put the food on and grab it with a hand which has sauce or grease or whatever, almonds from the green bean almondine. So then you pass it down to the next person. They put the protein on, and then the next person puts either the second protein on or the sauce, and then you have whatever comes next. There's typically a garnish, a second garnish, plate wiping. So you'll have vegetable, starch, or second veggie. And then you have protein 1 minimum. There's typically protein 2 for a banquet like that. Then you have sauce, garnish, and then you have plate cleaning. So typically it's 7 people per line. So we had about 85 people plating because we had extra people wiping plates. We had about 85 people plating. And then another 10 people doing support, 10 or 11. And by support, what I mean is, say that you're serving sea bass. I love catering is one of my favorite things to do from a cooking standpoint, because it's typically an event that's very personal to people. Even if it's a function, it's typically a fundraiser or some sort of a celebration to say thank you or goodbye. And say you're doing sea bass, which we did for this party. It was a sea bass and then also filet. So I had to cut. My job also ended up always being to cut the tenderloin into consistent sized pieces. It was a lot. Anyway, I used to end up, if you don't work in the kitchen every day, then this little blister on your index finger, just as it comes down and joins your hand, you just have a big callus there if you work in the kitchen every single day, right? Chopping, slicing, dicing. Well, if you don't, that goes away. And when you all of a sudden work a 14-hour day or 20-hour day, and you slice tenderloin, about 12 slices per tenderloin for 2,100 people, you tend to get a little blister there. Anyway, so what I mean by support, each station has these something has to keep the food hot. It doesn't matter how fast you're serving, there's always a heat source underneath. So typically it's a chafing dish. That's that little, that metal pan or metal frame that has one or two heat sources underneath, sterno or something like that. There's a pan that drops in full of water. I have an inch of water in there as an insert to keep steam going. And then you put the hot food on top of that. All right, so, you get about, at the maximum you could usually get out of one of those pans is 30 servings. So every 30 servings, every 30 plates, somebody has to replace that pan of food. Not just that pan of food, but all the other pans of food. So the vegetable, the starch, the protein 1, protein 2, which is typically a seafood and then a beef, or almost always a beef. And then, so every 30 people, you have to change those pans approximately. And so you have all these guys are bringing hot pans or, sheet pans, whether it's a sheet pan or a hotel pan being a deeper pan that kind of holds the more liquid in it. They're coming every 30 servings. You're calling. You kind of raise your hand and you yell for what you need, and they bring it to you. It's a chaos, but it's frantic and it's beautiful and it's crazy. I love it. I absolutely miss it. Anyway, so a caterer. There's more to it than what I just talked about, but if you become a caterer, don't expect to be bored, and I can guarantee you 100% absolutely that is true. You'll get to cook a wide variety of foods in diverse settings for all sorts of clients. You'll prepare food for large events like fundraisers, weddings, and other celebrations, often working on the weekends and evenings. That's pretty much any food service industry. Your work will include meal planning, food preparation and organizing, and overseeing dining and setup, presentation and service, as well as all cooking roles. You'll need to consider your clients' dietary preferences and needs, and meet all food safety requirements. To succeed in catering, customer service and business management skills are key. Okay, that's very true because most catering companies are very small, like one-person operations, or maybe they're just two people. And so you wear all hats. You are the chef, the manager, the owner, the salesperson, and the server. Sometimes you may be the only cook on site. You may have to hire additional people, but it's very interesting. Okay, I love catering. I really do. All right, next is this one. It kind of surprises me, and it doesn't. And I think why the reason this works for this number is they combine personal and private chef together. But I've worked as a private chef as well a couple of times, so personal chef and private chef are two different things. A personal chef is a chef that has multiple clients typically at the same time, and they go in on a consistent basis and they prepare meals and leave them in the home. Whereas a private chef typically works for one family, and they are there on a daily basis to serve, to prepare and serve the meal. So, if you're a personal chef, then you show up typically once or twice a week. Most personal chef services are once a week, but you may have 8 clients a week. So on Monday and Tuesday, you go shopping for client A, you go to client A's home, you prepare client A's food, package it, label it, clean everything up, and then take your wares and go on to go shopping for client 2, or sometimes you may have already shopped for client 2, but you go shopping for client 2, you go to their home, you prepare the food. Typically the menus cross over somewhat to save you time and effort. But the thing about being a personal chef is you cannot prepare that food out of your outside of the household that you're selling it to. That's one of the keys. So if you're my client, I have to cook in your home, package it there, and then leave it there. I can't pre-make the sauces at my house, bring them over, because it's a safety issue. it's a very interesting career. And the great thing about being a personal chef, right? I'm a huge advocate for this line of business. The great thing about being a personal chef is that the hours are typically really good, right? Because who's going to want you in your house preparing meals for the rest of the week at 9 o'clock at night? No one. So you may have one client at 10 a.m. and maybe another client at 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. and you're done by, say, 7 p.m. or maybe earlier. Maybe it's 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. and you're done by 5. So it's a really interesting business, and depending on how you model your menu and your sales, how you model your business, you can make decent money. I have a friend in Houston, and I've talked to her in several years, but I know she only had a few clients. She was, like 6 figures, at least 80,000. She was a private family for our chef for one family for a long, long time. And then I believe the man of the household passed, so she took on several clients. But anyway, so that's the difference. Now, as a private chef, you're not going in and preparing multiple meals at one time, although you may prepare meals at the end of the week to leave or the weekend. I think it's a little bit broader reaching scope of work, because you're not necessarily making individual portions of items or 4 portions of 4 different items to be served in one meal for a family of 4, and then putting that away and letting them heat and serve themselves. You're actually preparing meals ready to be eaten, just like you're at a restaurant. So it's exactly the same workload you would have at a restaurant. Sometimes it's more difficult because it's just you. Not to mention, you have to worry about the dietary restrictions, concerns of the family, their personal health. And then on top of that, you have to understand how to, A, work as one individual serving potentially multiple people in their home, in a home setting, just like you would in a restaurant, but you're the only one there working, preparing the plates. You also have to you're the one that cleans up. But then you also have to do catered events. A lot of times they'll do group events. There was a gentleman I worked for in Houston. Sometimes we would have 30 or 40 people in his penthouse, his apartment. And I remember when I was working for a famous family. Actually, they started out in Houston, but I worked for them in L.A. Their son's bat mitzvah was 500 plus people. I had a catering kitchen in their home. Of course, their house was like 40,000 square feet, but it's crazy. Let's see. Anybody else get a guess in there? 35, 30, 50, 50. All right. Well, we'll look and see here in a second. Let's see. Pagmer says, if Pastor can get 40K, changing guest to more 75? I don't know. This stuff always surprises me. It surprises me as well, to be honest with you. I never am quite sure until I read it. But Travis Watkins says, I may be crazy, but I enjoy the precision needed for baking. I like weighing all the ingredients and mixing and kneading just the right amount. I love kneading dough. I love when the bread dough sticks to your hand and it kind of smells yeasty. I love that smell. Or like I love working in any kitchen, hot food or cold kitchen. But when you chop up herbs, I mean lots and lots of herbs, and your hands smell like that rosemary or thyme or basil. Oh, I love that smell. Pat Gamir says, I was not good at meticulous, perfect steak cutting. Steak cutting is a real difficult thing. If you're cutting whole tenderloins. Hey, Brandon Anderson, how are you doing today? Travis Watkins says, I worked a big catered event once when I was in high school. I was one of those poor people replacing all the trays of food. 4 hours of hot trays in the hot Georgia sun was crazy. Yes, it is crazy. It is a crazy career, but I love it. So we got a minute and a half left. Let's go back to the top 5 careers. All right. So personal chef, private chef. Okay. That was pretty much it. Yeah. But as a private chef, you need to have a large repertoire because you have to have a new menu every day. Typically a 3-course meal. You don't serve all meal periods, typically lunch and dinner or breakfast and dinner, shop during lunchtime. And you may have separate meals for different individuals in the family. The family I worked for in California, the Mr. and Mrs. of the household, I served them a 3-course meal. Their children, their three children got a different meal. The housekeeper had a separate meal. And then the wife of the family, the Mrs. of the family, her mother lived with them, and she had a separate meal as well. So 1, 2, 3. I made 4 meals every meal period. Well, dinner was the big one. The other were pretty easy. But, yeah. So, yeah, we'll talk about Restaurant Chef when we come back. Of course, that's the number one. But what does it involve? It's a lot. It's a big, broad-ranging role depending on the size and depth of the restaurant and level of service. But we'll talk about the ins and outs, the details, stuff that people don't think about when they go to culinary school, or should they be considering life in a restaurant setting. Anyways, thanks for listening here. The first hour is done. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. We have now devoured the salad or the soup, whichever you chose today. Come right back. We're going to talk about the entree, the meat of the matter. How much do people in the industry really make? I'll give you the scoop. Stay tuned.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Trump says the 4 freshman Democratic congresswomen who he referred to in his recent tweets are not typical Democrats.
When I hear the hatred they have for Israel and the love they have for enemies like Al-Qaeda, then you know what? I will tell you that I do not believe this is good for the Democrat Party. Certainly it's not the party that I've known over the years.
While Democrats condemn Mr. Trump's tweets, the president says that a lot of people love what he said. The president expected to nominate a successor to Jim Mattis as Secretary of Defense. It will be Mark Esper, who has been serving as the acting Secretary of Defense since June. That was when Patrick Shanahan abruptly quit after serving as the acting secretary for 6 months. Mattis resigned last December. Also at townhall.com, President Trump moving to end asylum protections for most Central American migrants. Correspondent Sagar Magani reporting from the White House.
It's a major escalation in the president's fight to tamp down the number of migrants crossing America's southern border. Tens of thousands of migrant families from Central America move through Mexico into the U.S. each month, many seeking asylum. A rule set to take effect tomorrow would block them from claiming asylum if they've gone through another country first. That reverses decades of U.S. policy on how refugees are treated. The Trump administration says the rule is aimed at curbing a migrant flow that has overwhelmed the southern border, but it's expected to face legal challenges. Sagar Magani at the White House.
The National Weather Service says Barry has dumped as much as 1 foot to 1.5 feet of rain in some parts of Louisiana since it moved in several days ago. In Mississippi, Barry brought 3 to 7 inches. On Wall Street, stocks are mixed. The Dow is down 26 points. The Nasdaq ahead 6. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075. Got an old car? You can donate it, whether it's running or not, to the United Breast Cancer Foundation and save a life. They'll even come and pick it up for free. The United Breast Cancer Foundation has saved hundreds of women's lives through their free or low-cost breast screen exams. But now they need your help. The United Breast Cancer Foundation wants to save more lives through early detection by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And donating your old car, SUV, or truck, whether it's running or not, helps pay for them. Plus, you get a charitable tax deduction. Help the United Breast Cancer Foundation save lives by donating your old car, SUV, or truck. Call now for free pickup. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. 800-245-0823. Call right now. That number again is 800-245-0823.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T, and get 15% off your purchase.
And welcome back. Yes, we are into the third course, the main course, the meat of the matter. How much do people really make in the industry? But before we get to that, we're talking about the top 5 careers that people go into after culinary school. We have talked about number 5, food service or restaurant manager. Number 4, baking and pastry chef. Number 3, catering, or caterer. Number 2, personal or private chef. And number 1, dun, 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 of course you guessed it, is a restaurant chef. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'd worked in restaurants for a little while before I went to culinary school. And, I knew the ins and outs and daily grind, but really, I didn't know everything it took to be a chef. I didn't realize how much you have to understand business and so many other things. Inventory, numbers, lots and lots of numbers. Scheduling. Oh, Nathan, you're online. Yeah, you're watching, right? How fun is scheduling, Nathan, when you have a crew of like 30 people or 50 people? I had one restaurant in California where I had 80 kitchen staff. 80 kitchen staff over the course of a week. That's nuts. By the way, Nathan knows what I'm talking about. Nathan has he's been chef at some of the largest churches and other facilities in the country, and is pretty used to scheduling. It's not just scheduling people, scheduling multiple events at a time. What if you have offsite catering, on-site catering, as well as having the restaurant open, special functions in the bar? Oh, wait, don't forget the birthday party. Oh, and then you have the hors d'oeuvre, the past cocktails in the corner for the local, Fortune 500 or Fortune 100 company. It's just crazy. So restaurant chef, we'll talk about being a restaurant chef. There are a ton of different titles. There's executive chef, chef de cuisine, saucier, saucier is not really one anymore, but maybe a line cook, line chef. Maybe you run, maybe you're a grill cook. Chef is a loosely used term. So let's say that there are a lot of different cooking positions within the kitchen. Garde manger, which is typically salad, cold, desserts, things like that. That's another realm all into its own. But you have executive chef, saucier, garde manger. Let's see. Some chefs specialize in things like sauces or fish or just roasting. And, executive and sous chefs, on the other hand, focus more on managing the kitchen staff, planning menus, creating innovative dishes, monitoring inventory, and sourcing fresh ingredients. Doesn't matter which position. I'll tell you, I'll guarantee it's going to be exciting. You will never be bored in a kitchen because you know why? If you have time to lean, you have time to clean. And, you don't lean in a kitchen. You don't ever lean on the counter. Nope. No. So, I'm sorry, you had a minute to take a break? Well, start wiping down the equipment. Yeah, I know you got orders coming. It's okay. Just go grab a little 6-pan of water and, put some stuff in there. Grab a scrubby, right? Put some soap in there, some degreaser. Set it down below your station. So next time you get a little break, you can start scrubbing down the front of the range. There you go. I was really, really surprised, excited actually, and nervous when I discovered how big a role an executive chef plays in a restaurant. My first big job as an executive chef, volume-wise, well, Matsuhisa in Aspen was a big one. That's Nobu's sister restaurant. Nobu and Matsuhisa actually are the same thing in theory, but Nobuyuki Matsuhisa, very famous Japanese chef, they were opening a restaurant in Aspen, and the kitchen was pretty small. There was a sushi bar which could have it had 3 chefs at it. We had a 4-person line in the kitchen, was about all you could fit in there. We had a wok, a saute station, a salad pantry station, and that was pretty. You might put a second person on saute. That was pretty much it, and then some prep area in the back where people did slicing, dicing, chopping. All the stuff that you can't do on the line before you that you have to do before you start doing business. And that place does $6 million a year, maybe more. Now there's some upstairs. There's an upstairs private dining room and some other stuff as well. But it's crazy the volume that you can do out of a small kitchen. When you're charging a lot of money, but it's crazy because a chef typically, not always. I like to be what's called a working chef, where if I'm the executive chef at a restaurant, then I like to work a shift or a position. It depends on the restaurant as well, but I really like to work one position during the shift. Now, the position may not be actual cooking. It may be, but it may not be. There are two expediter positions, one outside of the kitchen window where it's called the pass, and then one on the inside. The one on the outside checks every plate before all those plates are put together to complete the order, and then the order is taken to the tables. And that's the expediter. On the inside, there's what's called the wheel position. And I've spoken about it before. You all seen those short order cooks, Flo from, what was that called? What was that show called? Yeah, it doesn't, anyway, the stupid 70s show. But you come in and there's a little wheel there and you stick your ticket in and you spin it. All right, well, that's that old thing, that wheel is where that name came from. But that's the person that says, okay, this is what's coming up next. And then you just call the orders to the rest of the line. But working that wheels, that inside pass station is very important because that's the last person that's a culinary team member that touches the plate. Now, to some extent, it's the most important person in the kitchen because they're controlling the rest of the kitchen, the flow when the food comes to you. Surprisingly enough, if you have 14 people at a table, the child's spaghetti, the mother's sea bass, and Grandpa Joe's well-done 16-ounce filet mignon, nobody's going to get, 12-ounce filet, don't all take the same amount of time to cook. It's strange. I know. You'd think that just throw it on the grill and it all comes off at the same time. Hey, okay, magically snap your fingers and the pasta's done all of a sudden. But that's not the way it works. So that person in the... and typically that's the chef or a chef, kitchen manager, sous chef, whatever it happens to be. But that person really controls the flow of food in the kitchen. You tell people when to start cooking. You tell them when to plate the food. And you tell them what's still expected of them and what is outstanding on their station for the orders that are waiting to go out. It's a very important position. And timing all of that is absolutely chaotic, brutal, and heaven at the same time. I love it. I talk about all the time. The printer in the kitchen goes, and you see this paper just spitting out and growing and growing. There was one night at Fred's Hickory Inn, this restaurant that burnt down, that they had hired me as a consulting chef to come back in and open. I ended up staying a year there, a little over a year. And we had this massive ticket that just didn't stop. I want to say every server in the house must have rang in every table they had all at once. We had 38 or 40 something tickets all on one string that just wouldn't stop, right? And it was so funny. We knew that it was going to take a while to make all these orders, so we took a minute. And a couple of guys, they put it around their neck like a boa because the tickets are still attached by one little piece that's not cut when the printer separates that from the next ticket that's starting. And it still flowed, I don't know, 8 or 9 feet on the ground. It was hilarious. I saw that. I have the photo somewhere. Anyway, but yeah, it's a lot of work. And that's all on top of a full day. So if you're a dinner-only restaurant, what time would you think the chef goes into work? Say you open at 5. Your first food goes out of the kitchen at 5:30. Maybe happy hour starts at 4 o'clock with just some bar appetizers. We're talking a nice restaurant, Well, I can tell you that I would typically be in the restaurant by 8 in the morning, maybe 9. Maybe 9 if I had a great staff. Because before you get to the point of service, before anything else happens, you need to check in the orders. If something doesn't show or isn't of the right quality, then you make sure somebody brings it back, or you go get it yourself, or you send somebody to go get it for you. And by the way, chefs don't like when you shop for them. Like if they need ingredients to cook with, they like to shop themselves because they just don't ever want to be upset that somebody picked out the wrong item. And I've blown up at so many people trying to help, not blown up, but just said, no, I'll get it, please. I had catering clients who always wanted to shop for me. Give me a list, I'll pay for it. I'm like, no, because if this one's 50 cents less and that one's 50 cents more, and you decide, well, it's only 50 cents, can't be that much different. No. The flavor of that chili sauce versus this one, or that yellow sweet potato versus that orange sweet potato, no, it's just not the same. That's why chefs are very adamant about picking out their own ingredients, and it's visceral, right? It's emotional for us. Remember, you are what you eat, right? And that we mean that. Anyway, so before you even start cooking, you have to receive the orders. Typically, there's some sort of inventory that needs to be done. You check the quality of all the ingredients that are still in-house. You may have to cover if somebody doesn't show up and you can't find someone else to come in. First, you try to find someone, and second, if not, you cover their shift. You cover their prep shift, or you may be the baker for the day. You may be the pastry. Whatever happens to happen, whatever needs to happen before that shift starts, before that restaurant opens, you're completely responsible. And on top of that, now you're looking at scheduling, upcoming events. You're looking at developing, menus for upcoming holidays and seasons. You're trying new dishes and tasting new menu items. You are maybe doing a tasting for a wedding party that's going to come in for their reception dinner. I mean, you've already worked, by the time the restaurant's opened, you've worked a 10-hour day. So then you got a 6-hour shift to get through on top of that. It's just a never-ending position. Because the guest coming in to dine doesn't care if your dishwasher didn't show up today, and that your sous chef is sick with the flu, or just had a child and you gave him 2 days off, or that the general manager's sick, so you're not only covering the kitchen, but you're acting general manager as well. Even though you may not be on the floor, ultimately they come to you for answers if there's no assistant GM at that restaurant. Or that the case of spinach that you needed, right, to make either a special salad or a maybe some sort of a special puree, or cream. Who knows what you had to make with it, right? Maybe the spinach came in, it was all mushy. Every single bag, every 5 or 2 pound bag of spinach. 2 pound bag's a big one, by the way. And it's a 10-pound case. Every 2 pound bag, you had 4 cases. They were all bad. Okay, now where are you going to go find? You had 4 cases. Where are you going to find 40 pounds of spinach? You can't go to the grocery store and buy it because it's too expensive. Why can't you do that? Well, just because the produce company screwed up doesn't mean that they pay extra for that. They take their product back, and you get product back when, new product to replace it when they have fresh product that's good. In the meantime, you have to figure something out to do. So you can change the menu item. You can go to the grocery store and spend 5 times or 4 times as much as you would have from the produce company. Now that's a whole nother set of problems, right? If I do that, okay, do I hit my numbers? Do I still have my food cost? How does that affect the food cost? What do I mean by that? Okay, well, my spinach was supposed to be 80 cents per plate. By the time I finished it with the vinaigrette, or the wilted, if it's wilted spinach with toasted garlic and, I don't know, some special aged balsamic vinegar served in blah, 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 and then baked as a custard, right? That actually sounds kind of good, like a Japanese chawanmushi. It's like a cupped baked custard with little seafood nuggets and mushrooms in there. But if you did something like that, so maybe it's supposed to cost you 80 cents per plate or $1.10 per plate, but now you've doubled or tripled the cost of the spinach. So now it's actually costing you, instead of 80 cents a plate, it's costing you $1.40 a plate. How does that affect your numbers? Okay. Well, if you keep having to do that, because say that you didn't place orders correctly and you ran out of a product, or you just forgot to order a product and you have to go to the grocery store all the time, you'll get fired, because the margins in restaurants are so tight, really, they're so small, that it takes, it's a business of pennies, as my partner Jeffrey Klein would say, not dollars, it's pennies. So it's yeah, it's a wide array of daily duties, you know, sourcing ingredients, ordering, inventory. Oh, and then not only that, you have to think about you're responsible pretty much for, you know, the dishwashing station, right? So ancillary staff, the dishwashing. A lot of times you have to schedule the, if you have like some other sort of cleaning crew, things like that, you have to manage that crew as well. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It is the most chaotic career in the world. As a matter of fact, the number one most stressful position you can have. I think that Forbes rated this, 10 years running. An executive chef with a restaurant staff of more than 5 people was the number one most stressful position in the world outside of political head of state. That's freaking nuts. Who would choose this voluntarily? It's like saying, yeah, can I be the first to go to the gulag? Especially if you're in New York City, you're starting as a prep cook, right? Back in the 80s. They stick you in what's called the dungeon. Whatever you call it, the cellar. It's crazy. There's something weird about every basement kitchen in New York has like one flickering light. There's always one light that flickers, and there's always a water leak. I don't know why. It's somewhere. Anyway, why do we do this to ourselves? So you can have a nice dinner. That's why. That's it. That's all. Let's see. All right. Okay. Who else we got here? Oh, Diner. Yeah, that was the name of that. Flo from Diner. That's right. Let's see. Who else has been commenting today? Nathan Turner, what's up? I said, what's up? Rich Frankel, tapioca? I can't say that. Mikasaba sukasaba. That's funny. So for those of you that didn't hear yet or haven't heard the news, today is National Tapioca Pudding Day. So feel free to run down to your local store. Grocery store should have this, any grocery store. You know, either buy the instant box or you can buy tapioca pearls and make it from scratch. I put a recipe right up on Spoony Radio's Facebook page. Let's see. Oh, Nathan Turner says, how about the volunteer-run coffee bar? Oh, yeah. What about the volunteer-run coffee bar at the church? And we're not talking, we're talking this. Nathan was the chef at the largest church. Well, there was 2 churches that went back and forth. He was the chef at the largest church in the country, had the largest congregation. And the volunteer coffee bar. How many days did you have to cover for somebody or take one of your staff and put them up there to run that? Let's see. 10 a.m. Oh, Nate used to go in at 10. That's not bad. He goes, or let's drive to Louisiana Seafoods every day for fresh fish before the shift starts. Nate says, I'm the best dishwasher ever. I'll tell you what, man, I can wash some damn dishes. I spent a couple of years doing dishes. Several. And I still end up, on occasion, as an exec. I tell you what. Most executive chefs, at least 1 or 2 days a year, at least. I don't care what the restaurant is. Unless you're a Michelin-starred chef or you work in some, really big fancy place. You end up helping out at the dish station. That, I'm telling you what, the dishwasher is the most important person in the restaurant. And the one night you realize that, the first time that they're not there, it's always a chaotic, horrible night. And, it's awful. It's awful. So you know what you do from then on? Man, you want a lobster for dinner? You get a lobster for dinner. You want a steak? You get a steak. You want to take a little bit home to your family? Go ahead. Here. Take some home. Now it's okay. I'll take care of the food cost. Don't just, no, it's okay. You want to raise? It's crazy. Northwest Arkansas, Rogers, Arkansas, Chewy's Mexican restaurant. Chewy's. It's a local establishment. It started right here in Texas, I believe. It's in Austin. $15.80 an hour. Actually, no, I'm sorry. When I left there, which was 2016, they were paying $16.45 an hour for dishwashers. $16.45 an hour. Crazy. I know line cooks that after 6 years of being in the business don't make $16.50 an hour or $16, some of them. But anyway, All right, let's see. Pat Gamir says, I worked in the dungeon of a 3-story restaurant in Syracuse. Oh, that's even worse than the city, because when you come out, you're still in Syracuse. I'm joking. Syracuse, my number one basketball pick, by the way. I love Syracuse. All right, go Orange. Let's see, Nathan Turner, especially when you don't have a dish machine. I worked in a restaurant called Tony Rigatoni's. And they had 2 locations. The first one was I believe the original one was actually in I don't know which one came first, chicken or the egg. I'm not sure. Probably the one in Boulder. In Golden, Colorado, right down the street from the Coors Brewery. But then they had a sister restaurant not too far away in right outside the Red Rocks entrance to the park. In I just lost it. All right, doesn't matter. Anyway, it was that second restaurant, the one in right outside of Red Rocks in Morrison, Colorado. We didn't have a dishwasher. We just had a 3-compartment sink. And that place, especially on the night of like a concert or something at Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado in the summertime, oh my gosh, we would just get hammered. And you didn't have a dishwasher. It was a 2-person kitchen. 2-person kitchen. And I worked there when I was in culinary school. I had a 77 Volkswagen Bug with no heat and no air, because that's Volkswagens don't have it. But you could buy this little electric one that clipped on up where your sun visor went, which the sun visors were like half the size of I don't know, like an ice cream sandwich. They were tiny. So it plugged into your you did have forced air heat. So if you're driving really fast, if you opened up the vent, it blew hot air from underneath from the engine compartment, and it blew it forward due to the pressure. It blew it forward into through the ventilation shaft, and it kind of heated the car, but not really. So anyway, I took that little thing, you clip it on, you plug it into your cigarette lighter, and it would keep the windshield defrosted in about a 6 by 10 inch space, so you could see through it. But yeah, that was a very interesting place to work. I remember this 2-person kitchen, and I always worked on the weekends, and I got my butt kicked every day because as the new guy, the younger guy on the totem pole, low guy on the totem pole, I got to wash most of the dishes. Not all of them, but most of them. I think there was one, Saturday nights we had a dishwasher, but not during the daytime. And I worked a double on most Saturdays. But so kitchens are fun places too. I don't want to just talk poorly about kitchens. They are fun. And one of the things I want to talk about is that I'll tell a funny story. It was in that very kitchen. There was a guy named Neil. Neil was he is probably my favorite guy to ever work with. Neil was a smart young man. He was about my age, mid-20s, somewhere in there. Really good cook. That guy could make pizzas faster than anyone I've ever seen. Pizzas, pasta. He could do saute, slice, dice, make pizzas, bake, whatever. He could do whatever really quickly. Anyway, we were really bored. It was a snow day, right? It was like it was a big powder day. It was, I don't know, middle of January or something, and it's really cold. It's like, I don't know, 15 below or something in Morrison. It was a really crappy drive. The roads were really icy. I drove out there. Luckily, Volkswagen, even the old Beetles did pretty good on the snow. So, we're sitting there, and we get really bored. And he grabs a towel, right? He grabs a towel, like a kitchen towel. The kitchen towels are kind of rectangular, not quite like a home kitchen towel, right? These are the rags, the white rags that chefs use to clean the counters. We use them for everything. Grab hot pans with it as long as it's not wet. And he proceeds to pop me on the back of the leg so hard because he dipped it in the dishwater first. He left a welt on the back of my leg for a week. Oh, I thought that thing was going to scar. So we proceeded for the next 4 hours throughout the entire shift to have a towel snapping war. As a matter of fact, it was so long and so intense that my shoulder was sore. Literally, it was sore for like 3 weeks. It was crazy. Man, that guy, I had like 40 welts on my legs. I think I got him 4 times in 4 hours. It was crazy. We take a break for a little while, cook some food, which we had like 6 orders the whole day, and then go back to snapping each other with a towel. Oh my gosh. But I'll tell you what, man, I can pop a fly at 7 feet with a towel if it's the right length. A little dishwater on there, wring it out, and boing. It's good. Better than a salt gun. It's more fun, too. All right, hey, we got a few seconds here left. Please come back for the the big reveal, the dessert for the day. Well, we know it's tapioca, but I'm going to tell you how much you chefs really make, who are the highest paid, the lowest paid, and what other jobs might be better and suit you better and pay more money. We'll be right back.
Follow Chef Patrick Mosher on Twitter at Food Biz Pro.
Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. Eric, we've been seeing Mojo guys over there and over here at Spoony talk about Atrantil for bloating. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
You're exactly right. The polyphenols are those molecules that we find in the Mediterranean diet. It makes vegetables and fruits very colorful. What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can actually stop inflammation. They can help you have more energy. They can help you with anti-aging. And polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Tell me how everybody should be taking Atrantil.
If you want to dose Atrantil, it's 2 capsules 3 times a day, basically with your meals. But if you aren't bloated and you just want that polyphenol intake every day, 2 to 3 capsules a day will work for you.
Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony. Dr. Ken Brown here, host of Gut Check Project with my co-host Eric Rieger. I've seen in my practice that Atrantil is a whole lot more than just a bloating product.
Yes, it does a whole lot more than just fix bloating because of the polyphenols that you find in Atrantil.
What are some of the things that these polyphenols do, Eric?
These polyphenols can help you have more energy, and polyphenols are great for athletes.
It sounds like it's going to help a whole lot more people than just bloating. Go to lovemytummy.com/Spoony.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
And here we go, one last time. Yep, you got to put up with me for 30 more minutes. This is Chef Patrick, the Food Biz Pro, right here on Spoony Radio. Yes, you're listening to another Monday show. Wow, surprised. Yeah, your treat. Or my treat, I'm not sure. All right, so we've been talking about restaurants, the industry in general, what positions there are, what types, what do people do when they come out of culinary school? What are the top positions they seek? What do they gravitate towards? And interestingly enough, this is not exactly what I was looking for, but I'll tell you in a minute here what the total, where the real high-paying chef jobs are. But these are the 10 highest-paying hospitality jobs, right? So not necessarily chefs, but executive chef is in here. So hospitality careers, they range from executive chef to hotel manager, and there's lots in between. So here we go. Let's roll out the welcome mat for your next job. Let's see. Oh, let's talk some statistics really quick. There are 16 million workers in the hospitality sector in the U.S. 16 million. That's a lot of people employed in one industry. And of all those, most people are just hourly. 90%, 80%. I mean, you can only have so many managers, right? Too many chiefs and not enough Indians doesn't get the job done, right? So we're gonna go some of wow. Well, okay, that's higher than I thought it would be, but let's start with one of the unlikely ones. So sommelier. Wine is a big thing nowadays, right? So what does a sommelier make? Now, sommelier is not in every restaurant. The master of wine, or not a master of wine, but a wine steward. That's the person that walks around, recommends a bottle of wine to match your meal, or to drink pre-meal or post-meal, and maybe another one to take home. I don't know, but they're typically in upscale hotels and restaurants. They're in-house wine expert. They serve guests and provide advice on which wine to order to complement a diner's meal choice. Businesses may sometimes also hire sommeliers as well to consult which wine to purchase for events. To become a sommelier, you have to go through specific and intensive training in order to. It's basically you have to earn the title of sommelier, and there are certain levels. That's all done through the court of was it the court of the Masters of Wine? Master of Court of Sommeliers. There you go. A court of So Master of Court Sommelier. That's so you have to go through. It's a rigorous many years of testing. So to be a sommelier, to be a really, like the highest level of sommelier, like a master sommelier, you have to. There's one part of the test. It's a blind tasting. You drink the wine, you smell the wine, you drink the wine, you look at the wine. By blind, I mean the label's covered. It's in a nondescript bottle. You have no idea what it is. You don't even see the label. You can see the bottle. They just bring you the wine. So based on the color, the aroma, the nose, the taste, all those hidden nuances, you have to tell. This is how particular it gets to be a master sommelier. You have to tell not only what type of wine it is, right? What grape is it? The varietal. What country did it come from? What region within the country? Some master sommeliers can tell you which lot within that particular, winery, where it comes from. They can literally go country of origin, grape, country of origin, the winery, and then what area of the winery it comes from. It's crazy. These people sit in a closet, literally in the dark, and they open up little vials and they smell them and they memorize the smell. Herbs, spices, dirt, soil, petroleum, all those things have there are those notes of that in wine. Anyway, so how much does, say, the average? Okay, we're going to say like a level 2 sommelier, all right? Master is level 4, I believe. So we'll say a level 2, level 1, level 2. The average, $55,551 a year. I think that's pretty good pay. For somebody who gets to walk around talking about wine all the time, that's not bad. So, but again, you have to figure they're only particularly in higher end restaurants and hotels. All right, so let's look at some of the ones you wouldn't think of, right? Before we get to restaurant general manager and executive chef. So, what if you're a director of housekeeping in a hotel? Now, if you're at this is the average, right? And director of housekeeping is a big freaking job, let me tell you. You think running a restaurant in a hotel is bad? Oh, man. My sister went to school with someone who employed me. She started, I think she was director of housekeeping, then went to the front desk. She still lives in Phoenix with her husband and family. And I remember seeing those people down there looking so sad in the basement where the laundry was. Oh, my God. That was at the Hyatt Regency at Gainey Ranch. And that's a big hotel, 400 rooms or something stupid like that. Anyway, man, that's a lot of work. Think about that. Changing 400 to 500 beds a day. And then, the staffing of that. And then people that don't want to leave their room or napping in their room or want to stay late or check in early. I mean, it's crazy. So they supervise the room attendants, cleaners, and other hotel housekeeping staff. Their job is to ensure housekeeping standards are met, as well as managing the department budget. There you go. That's a big deal as well, because they're not just managing labor; they have the supplies, all the other materials that are used to keep your room looking and smelling nice, and have the accoutrement that you need to enjoy your stay. So you need experience. What do you need? Housekeeping experience. And is key to landing a job as a housekeeping director, as his prior experience managing a budget and people. Funny, budget and people comes up a lot here. What is the average, right? Director of housekeeping? Believe it or not, it's $74,712 a year. That's crazy. Now, these are not the average. These are the average on the high end, okay? If you took the average across the board, they're going to be lower because what they're talking about, the local Holiday Inn does not have a director of housekeeping, right? You have a head housekeeper. That's not the same. They're making $12 an hour. They're probably making $15 or $20 an hour. But so here's another one. Executive casino host. Their job is largely about developing relationships, meeting and greeting guests for the casino on the casino floor, attracting high rollers to become repeat customers, and ultimately ensuring the casino hits its profit and growth goals. What do you need? On top of a bachelor's degree, executive casino hosts typically have at least 5 years of customer service experience and specifically a few years of casino guest service experience. How much do you make? $55,044 a year. Now, I'm going to guess they get some sort of tip as well. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe at the executive level, you can't take tips. I'm going to guess they do. We're going to skip executive chef for a moment. How about a flight attendant? Right? Flight attendants. We all know what they do. Think about they serve drinks and they make sure you turn off your phone. But really, their job is to enforce safety protocols, right? And if something is to go wrong, then they're there to ensure that they make it go right. I think a lot of us take them for granted. But flying's a serious job. So what do you need? At minimum, flight attendants must have a high school diploma and certification by the Federal Aviation Admin, blah, blah, blah. What does the average flight attendant make? $50,500 a year. Now, that's not $50,500. That's at the high end, okay? What does a good flight attendant make? $50,000. Seriously, because they get flight perks, and they know you work for less. Food and beverage director. Now, not every place has a food and beverage director, but most hotels have food and beverage directors. As a matter of fact, a good friend of mine who's been an amazing chef for years and years and years just became the new Hilton in D.C. New Hilton, D.C. That's a big hotel, man. He's been a chef for a long time, and is it the Conrad? No, it's not the Conrad. It's the brand new one. I think it just opened, actually. Anyway, he switched from being an executive chef. I mean, this guy's like big time executive chef. We'll talk about what I can guess what he made. I didn't know, but we're talking well into six figures. Maybe not into the 200,000, but well into over 100. But that's a big job, and you're in D.C. and you're serving people from all over the world, and they bitch about everything that goes wrong, and so you make sure it doesn't go wrong. But okay, so what is the average, right? Food and beverage director. Food and beverage director in that kind of position. Say you work at a big Sheraton, right? A nice big Sheraton, though, or like maybe a Hilton, average size Hilton. I'm going to say they make between 50 and on the high end probably 72,000. Right here they say 72. That's on the higher end for a mid to smallish large restaurant or a hotel. All right, so we've gone through. Let's see, where is it? Let's go to general manager. All right, a meeting and event manager, 78,000. Yep, meeting and event manager. That's like the catering sales manager, event managers for a large hotel. By the way, they bust their asses too. That's a hard job, and you have a lot of long nights and early mornings. Restaurant general manager. This is probably about right. I mean, your responsibilities are everything. Managing food handling procedures, operational processes, your standard operating procedures on a daily basis, hiring, training employees, making sure the restaurant hits its profit margins and its profit margin targets. And there's no formal education required for this, but typically, prior restaurant experience is a must. The average high-end pay on a restaurant general manager, $53,127. Yep. 53 grand. That's less than the average high-end sommelier would make. Interesting. All right. So hotel manager, GM. This is a pretty nice hotel. This is this is probably about the salary range for somebody, probably a little lower. But, in a resort town, We'll say Scottsdale, Arizona. Something like the Cottonwoods Resort, or, the one in town, not the one way out at the base of the, where the golf courses are. Probably at the, it's probably about right, like at Gainey Ranch where I worked. I'm going to assume, yes, I know that makes an out of you and me, but I'm going to guess that this is pretty accurate. 106,680 degrees. And that's a lot. But you have to think they're responsible for every guest that comes in and out, from checking them in to checking them out, supervising all available rooms, managing all the dining areas, hiring and training all, pretty much responsible for hiring and training most staff, all department managers. You oversee multiple departments within the hotel. Typically, you have to have a bachelor's degree in hospitality. $106,000. I'm telling you, it sounds like a lot of money, but in today's world, it's still a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money. Executive pastry chef. Oh, man. Executive pastry chef, especially in a hotel or a resort, that's a big job. They manage they manage all aspects of the pastry department, and by pastry they mean desserts. And a lot of times they manage the creation of sauces, certain sauces, sweet sauces, dressings, things like that as well. Average executive pastry chef, $65,000, $65K. So the only question left to ask is, what do you think the executive chef makes? Oh, Facebook dropped, huh? Are we back? Somebody said Facebook dropped. All right. That's Richard again, probably. Oh, Sean. Maybe. Is it running? I don't know. All right, so time to answer the question. What do you think? I had an idea. I was pretty close. The executive chef for, mid-high end, small hotel, but nice hotel. On average, $67,632. I'm going to say that's on the high end. That's not average. The average executive chef, the person with a title executive chef, probably makes around 40. Probably around 40. 67,000. I'll tell you what. To make $67,000 a year, you have to run a restaurant in the approximately, you got to be doing around 3 to 4 million, depending on the type of restaurant. There's a formula that you use to determine how much you pay your managers and department heads. A manager has to minimum, any manager has to provide 10 times their annual pay in value to a restaurant or dining facility or a hotel. So if you're a mid-level or high-level assistant, or maybe assistant GM at $50K, $50,000 a year, you have to bring in $500,000 of business or be able to add $500,000 in business to the bottom line. That's how it works. 10 times. 10 times. It's crazy. 67,000. It seems high to me. That's a high-paying job, to be honest with you. No, I made more sometimes. But let's look at some of the highest paid chefs, right? Some of the highest paid chefs. I'm just going to read through this. The salary world-class chefs get paid. Okay, this is an article by Clayton Brown. There are tens of thousands of talented, hardworking chefs that create delicious meals in restaurant kitchens all across the globe every day, but nearly all work in relative obscurity. Only a couple of dozen chefs have reached the status of household names, and these internationally recognized rock stars of the culinary world all earn 6 or 7 or even 7 figures. Oh, yeah. Much of the income of world-class chefs, however, is derived from sources other than their chef salaries, right? Yeah, that's true. So These are real numbers here. Real chef pay range. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, chefs and head cooks earned a median salary. Let's see. And this is like 2013, so it's a few years back, of $42,000. And the average salary for an executive chef was $77,000. Executive sous chefs, wow, that's high. That's cool. Oh, that was a little earlier. That was before the crash. Executive sous chefs earned an average salary of $55,000, and sous chefs $42,000, pastry chefs $53,000. All right, this is a little. You can probably bump that up by $5,000 to $6,000. So that was a few years back. Total compensation, though. Celebrity chefs' total compensation, typically they earn significantly more from their TV, book, and endorsement deals than they do from their chef salaries. Many famous chefs own their own restaurants and are paid a share from the profits, as well as a handsome salary. When you read what Wolfgang Puck earned $20 million in 2012, you can be sure that figure is total compensation and includes payments for product endorsements, as well as media fees, salaries, and restaurant profits. Top 10 highest paid chefs. Now, this is from a ways back because I'm curious if anybody's, yeah. So a couple of these guys dropped by the wayside. I'm not going to say anything, okay? We're not going to name names. The top highest earning chefs, this is back in 2012, though. We can go looking for 2019 in a second. So in 2012, these were estimated. Gordon Ramsay with $38 million. Rachel Ray with $25 million. That's a year. Wolfgang Puck, $20 million. Paula Deen, 17. Mario Batali, no longer around, 13. Alain Ducasse, great French chef, by the way, $12 million. Todd English, $11 million. I got his cookbook right there. Nobu Matsuhisa, my former boss, $10 million. Bobby Flay, $9 million. And Guy Fieri, $8 million. Now, I'll tell you what. This list has changed dramatically because Bobby Flay is way up at the top now. It's going to go Gordon Ramsay, Bobby Flay, Wolfgang Puck. Probably, I don't know who comes after that. That's just a bunch of people stuck in the middle there. Guy Fieri, probably. Let's look it up. But I want to find out. Top paid celebrity chefs in 2018. All right, here we go. Oh, damn, I was wrong. This is from 2018. Interesting. Oh, there's some stuff in here I don't want to know. See, that was 2012. I want to know 2018, not 2012. Here we go. The 10 richest chefs in the world. That's not going to be the same people, though. That's not. All right. Well, let's do it anyway. All right. So that list I just pulled up again, it went to 2012 because apparently that was the last time before the big industry shakeup. A lot of chefs got caught in the Me Too movement. And, well, let me tell you, kitchens are hard places to work. They are. People get rowdy. They can be rude and crass and all sorts of stuff. But there are some people that got caught up in scandals that I have to tell you from a personal perspective that they didn't deserve the treatment they got. One particular chef is facing criminal charges, which I can, from personal experience, tell you he would never do. And, things are changing. Kitchens are cleaning up. Potty mouths are going bye-bye. And the banter back and forth has been cleaned up, which is good. I mean, it's good for the business because it's more competitive than ever. And it's better for the industry. But some people had to go. All right, so this is a list of the richest chefs in the world. And most of them you probably have never heard of. Interesting. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Coming in at number 10. So this is using estimates from Celebrity Net Worth, the richest and the Spears, and Spears Magazine. They looked at the 2019 figures to track the changes, the results, and this is the 10 richest chefs. Now, this is not how much they make per year. These are the richest chefs, right? Marco Pierre White, number 10. Englishman. Estimated net worth, $40 million, 30.3 million pounds. He has a great story, by the way. He was the youngest man at age 33 to be awarded 3 Michelin stars in that generation, the 80s. Unbelievable. So Marco Pierre White, after leaving school with no money, no qualification, and no prospects, I think he was like 16. He left his much celebrated. Marco Pierre White began his much celebrated culinary career at the prestigious Le Gavroche restaurant in London throughout the 80s and 90s. His burgeoning reputation saw him become the youngest chef ever at the age of 33, no less, to be awarded 3 Michelin stars. While he's 57 now. He's also responsible for mentoring a host of well-known chefs, including Gordon Ramsay. Despite retiring from the kitchen in 1999, he's continued to see significant financial returns from his various television projects and cookery books, as well as his various business partnerships. His most enduring legacy, though, may be his fiery temper. After all, any man who can make Gordon Ramsay cry is surely not to be trifled with. Yes, he made Gordon Ramsay cry. And look, I'm not teasing you, Gordon. It just means he's a bad man. Whew. Anybody who can make Gordon Ramsay cry. I had somebody make me cry once in a kitchen. I won't talk about it. Number 9, Ina Garten, rather. I'm sorry, I always say Garten. Her the Barefoot Contessa. What do you think she's worth? If number 10 was $40 million, she's worth $50 million. $50 million. Huh. It's crazy. You know, initially she started, initially a budget analyst in the White House. She was responsible for writing policy papers on nuclear energy in the 1970s, all while moonlighting as a part-time property developer. In fact, it was from the fruits of this lucrative venture that Garten purchased the now famous Barefoot Contessa food store in 1978, where it remained until it closed in 2004. That's where she got her name. The 71-year-old has long since capitalized on the success of her brand, though, releasing cookbooks and retail lines worth millions. Blah 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 blah. She's also, she's used her political background to contribute to the presidential campaigns of several Democratic nominees, while she continues to produce best-selling cookbooks such as 2018's Cook Like a Pro. She's cool. She's a very, very interesting lady. She's got a great story, and she's got a big, really nice personality. She's very cool. Number 8, David Chang. This guy's a badass. His estimated worth, $60 million. Now, it's funny because David Chang, you think, oh, I know Wolfgang Puck, I know Ina Garten, I know this person and that person, and I know who Gordon Ramsay is. No offense to David, but a lot of people don't know who David Chang is. He is one of the most influential chefs, right now in the world. He's a pretty relative newcomer to the scene. He's slowly been making waves. He's got a restaurant called Momofuku. It's Momofuku, Fuku. Read it correctly. He's got his restaurant empire there. He's got 2 Michelin stars in 2009. He's expanded around the globe. He's got a place called Milk Bar. He trained at the French Culinary Institute. It's now the International Culinary Center in New York. And he did gigs from, several, just a whole bunch of different fine dining restaurants before he opened his first noodle bar in 2004. It was really popular among the trendy East Village food scene, and the best-selling Momofuku cookbook, Momofuku, yes, I can say it right, cookbook, followed quickly. The 41-year-old, so this is cool. He's also got a media, just not media profile. He's been on like Treem and MasterChef Australia. He's also got 2018 he came out with his Netflix original series Ugly Delicious, which was put on for a second season. He owns the production company. He's got, I believe, the largest podcast of any chef as well. Number 7, Emeril Lagasse. We all know who Emeril is. Bam! All right, Emeril, real quick. He's only 59. Damn, you look older, Emeril. I'm sorry. He's worth $60 million. He went to Johnson & Wales. He worked for the legendary Paul Prudhomme as executive chef at. He succeeded him actually at Commander's Palace. And what's interesting, he didn't want to go out of the kitchen. The Brennan family forced him out to go talk to people. He didn't want to leave the kitchen. Anyway, he's from Massachusetts. Emeril Live, Emeril. He's at just the Emeril Show. He's done all sorts of stuff, including one of the coolest things. He was selected with several of his trademark spicy dishes, even being selected by NASA to be part of the menu on the International Space Station in 2006. That's cool. Not just given the best meals in the world on terra firma, but also up in the air. Number 6 is Rachel Ray. We all know Rachel Ray. She's worth $77.5 million. Oh man, her 30-minute meals that publication, the 30-minute meals. And then she got on Food Network, not to mention the local stuff. Crazy. She has built an empire. The woman's a genius. Thomas Keller. Ooh, one of my favorite restaurants of all time. He's worth $80 million. If you don't know who Thomas Keller is, he's a French-born master. Actually, he trained under a French-born master chef, Roland Hennin. And, once he hit that mark, he was off and going on his own. Thomas Keller kind of set the bar for 20 years in California. He owns, he worked all over the place. He went to Michelin-starred restaurants in New York, Paris. His first restaurant was Raquel, R-A-K-E-L. It was a regular haunt for like the Wall Street execs down in right off Wall Street. Anyway, when the market collapsed in the 80s, he went and kicked it up to California, where he opened the French Laundry, and he also has Bouchon Bakery. They're all right in one little complex there. He's got 3 Michelin stars at that, and a James Beard Award. He also owns Per Se in Manhattan. He's just done an amazing job. He's got all sorts of stuff out there. But what's really cool, you need to go check out Kancheng Knives. They have a new line of knives, the Thomas Keller line. Hey, we've got not enough time to go to the last 4. I'll cover those tomorrow. Anyway, thanks for listening. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. Remember, be kind to yourselves, eat right, you are what you eat. And you know what? Hang in there. We'll talk tomorrow. Ciao for now.